Hanoi,
Hi everyone. Yeah, hi again. Yes, I'm joining from Hanoi. May I share my screen now?
Sure, yeah, please.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see your
All right.
slide. Yes.
Yes, so I'm just gonna get started. I only have 10 minutes, gonna go very brief. Yeah, a quick introduction about IEEFA. We are a US-based think tank working on doing research on energy markets and policy trends, covering across the globe. But my friends, colleagues, and I today, we cover the Asian market. Our mission is to accelerate the transition towards an economically and environmentally sustainable energy economy. My colleagues and I, we are funded by global philanthropic organizations and individuals, and we do not have business clients. All of our research are public resources, which you can access on our website, as well as knowledge sharing platforms such as this one. Okay, so now the main part of my presentation, what is the coal demand outlook for the year 2021? This is the focus of this year only, because I've talked in my previous webinar about a longer term outlook. For this one, I'm focusing on this year. This is the latest data that I have from the government, which estimated that in 2020, coal demand for Vietnam sat at 92 million tons, and this included all types of coal, thermal and coking, etc. And the projection is that in 2021 there will be a 6.3% growth, rising to 98 million tons. As usual, the power sector remains the largest consumer of coal in Vietnam, accounting to about 60% of total demand. And it is expected that with a mild a mild increase in the coal generation output and the new capacity that comes online this year, there will be an additional 3.7 million tons of coal in 2021. At the same time, the steel and cement sector is expected to grow this year, as it benefits from a recovery in construction activities in Vietnam, as well as more demand in export markets such as China. Vietnam, as Lars previously said, the GDP growth in 2020 was 2.9%, and assuming all goes to plan, we are targeting a rebound of 6% GDP growth this year, and the government is planning to manage the recovery by boosting public spending in infrastructure projects, as well as more real estate projects being actually developed this year. At the same time, in terms of domestic supply, the coal output commercial this year is estimated at 45 million tons, an annual output that is expected to remain throughout till 2025. And I also want to note here that Vinacomin recently announced that it is now sitting on an inventory of 15 million tons, very high because of a lot of import taking place last year. Now, with the power sector being the predominant consumer, how is the energy transition that is happening right now going to impact coal power output this year? I have here the data from the latest data on Vietnam power system capacity mix. As you can see, last year, the total system capacity increased by 25% to 69 gigawatt. And this is the domestic capacity. We have some imported capacity from Laos and China, but I didn't include it here. As you can see, the biggest jump took place in the renewable energy category, particularly rooftop solar installations, which was enabled by a policy by the government to incentivize such development. And for 2021, we expect that at least 3 gigawatt more of renewable energy will come online, and that will come from wind power projects that are already under construction right now and probably will be connected to the grid in later this year. But in case in the next few months, the government issues a continuity of the feed-in tariff policy for solar rooftop, we expect that the actual the figures for renewable energy can actually be higher than the what we forecast here. Meanwhile, due to the rapid penetration of renewable energy, the share of coal power fleet in the total system has dropped from 37% in 2019 to 33% in 2021. Here. However, coal power plants continue to generate the most electricity for the system at around 50% last year, 2020, even though we expect this to fall to 48% in 2021. The output of total power output is expected to grow this year to 6.2%. And in terms of the mix, where does it come from? Coal power will still increase by 2.7% because it will continue to be used as base load. And in order to manage the rising output from renewable energy projects, so far, I understand that the Ministry of Industry and Trade and EVN will manage such intermittency by cutting down import of electricity from China, cutting down all the production of oil run facilities, and possibly they can adjust the output from gas-fired plants thanks to the
Hello.
Towards the end, the total demand for the power sector is expected at 59 million tons. And next, in terms of import, how has been the performance in 2020? I have here the latest data from the Vietnamese government side, which includes import data for all sorts of coal. So that might explain some between my data here and the data mentioned by Dr. Lars. As you can see, total coal imports in 2020 was 55 million tons, or 25% increase compared to 2009. And we import from some key sources: Australia, Indonesia, Russia, China, and a few others. But imports from Australia has been growing very rapidly in the past few years, and it jumped 30% compared to 2009. And meanwhile, Indonesia, the growth rate was 10%, so comparably slower. And now Australia remains the biggest seller, having 37% market share, widening the gap with Indonesia. And again, Vinacomin said that it imported nearly 10 million tons of coal last year, and the target is to reduce this to just 1.4 million tons in 2021. So to wrap up, just a few bullet points here. Vietnam's coal demand continues its growth trajectory. The government expects it to reach 98 million tons in 2021. An additional demand comes from the new coal power plants and more intensive steel and cement production. Whether the import demand will be higher than last year or lower, this will be influenced by Vinacomin's high inventory level as of right now, as well as it plans to cut on import. In terms of the markets that we buy from, Australian exporters is likely to remain competitive sellers on a cost basis. And in the medium term, Vietnam's pivot away from coal power, as well as the transition towards renewable energy that it's already taking place right now, I think it's going to threaten the pipeline coal power projects that are now under planning, so under negotiation and a plan for commissioning after 2025. For now, for 2021, the output from the existing coal fleet is likely to be sustained as we use coal as base power, and the transition toward gas systems or even more renewable projects will impact projects to be commissioned in the next 5 years. So that's it from my end.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Thu Vu from IEEFA for the presentation. It was very informative and gave us perspective on how the Vietnam will policing the increased demand of the coal-fired power plant. At the same time, is moving toward the energy transitions. And on your presentation, you said that the potential demand, the increased demand based on trajectory is looks positive, but the energy transitions will threaten the coal power plant project within the pipeline. And interestingly, Indonesian share remains roughly 10%, is fall below the Australian export, excellent export to Vietnam. And according to our data, in 2018, Indonesians export to Vietnam around 12 million, and in the 2019, it's increased a little bit to 16 million, but we haven't got the data for the 2020. Okay, so thank you very much for the presentations from IEEFA. Now we're still talking about the potential market in Vietnam. And Vietnam, of course, economically, they perform very well. One of the biggest, the best performers in the economy in Asia in tackling the pandemic, and now the economic is positive, so we expect also the industry will grow fast, and then the consumption of coal will increase indeed.